Rajobot from Gracia. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 24th of October, 2024. Quick summary, what's going down in Georgia. On Sunday the 20th, the last big pro-European rally before the parliamentary elections took place in the streets of Tbilisi. NGOs organized the event titled Georgia Chooses the European Union. Did not feature opposition political parties at all. Many politicians attended, of course, but as private citizens. It's hard to tell exactly how many people attended the event. State media lowered the head count significantly. As always, this time they also accused the opposition media of using clips from old demonstrations in their coverage, although nobody could find any of those. The opposition says that the attendance figures range from 90 to 100,000. However, from drone images shared on social media, it looks as if the number is probably somewhere between 50 and 70,000, which is a bunch. President Bidzina Ivanishvili attended the rally. In her speech, she said that pro-European forces would win the elections. The most viewed piece of media about the pro-European rally was a video shared by one of the participants. During the president's speech, a group of people from the top of a nearby building aimed laser pointers into her eyes, trying to distract her. Several attendees pinpointed their location, went to the building. They found a group of young people there who were later identified as being associated with Georgian Dream, or Otsneba's youth organization. They seemed a little surprised and embarrassed by being discovered, used blankets to try and hide their heads and faces from the cameras. Video went viral on the same day, garnered over 2.5 million views on Facebook. Other news, the state media channel Imedi shared a pre-recorded interview with Bidzina Ivanishvili. The interview, which lasted for, of course, over an hour, featured the oligarch discussing the importance of the upcoming parliamentary elections, among other topics. One of them was his former teammate, Gogi Gacharia. Recall that Gacharia left Otsneba and formed his own party, taking with him over a dozen MPs. Ivanishvili called him a bastard and threatened both Gacharia and his teammates with prison. He also reiterated his party's message that Otsneba needs to gain a constitutional majority during the upcoming elections to ban the existence of the United National Movement, or Natsebi, along with all parties under their umbrella. Ivanishvili said that economically, Georgia is doing incredibly well. However, even though the GDP increased by 10% year on year in the second quarter of 2024, up from an 8% increase in the previous 3-month period, Georgians have been struggling with rising prices for the last 2 years, since probably most of the percentage increase comes from Russian expats and pre-election Otsneba cash distribution and moves up to the top of the income scale. In terms of foreign relations, he mentioned that he already has an appointment to meet the U.S. ambassador after the election to start improving relations with the West. For over 10 minutes, he talked about his personal finances and discussed his court case against the Swiss bank Credit Suisse, which he says owes him around $2 billion. Ivanishvili frequently points to this court case as an attempt by Western powers to hold his money hostage in order to influence him. On Wednesday, the 23rd, Otsneba organized its own political rally in Tbilisi. A significant number of the attendees were from outside the city. Otsneba organized transportation from various regions to Tbilisi. Bera Ivanishvili, son of Bidzina Ivanishvili, who resides in Brazil and is a famous musician, performed during the event's closing. On the same day, supporters of Otsneba, coming from their party's rally, attacked Levan Gogichaishvili, a member of the opposition party Gacharia for Georgia, or Sakartvelos, in a subway station. Gogichaishvili did not suffer serious injuries. On a related note, on Wednesday the 23rd, online magazine Tabula shared a recording of a phone call in which the director of Rustavi's public kindergarten threatened teachers with a hostile work environment if they refused to attend Otsneba's rally. Reports have long suggested that teachers in the public sector, especially in kindergartens, experience constant pressure and face job loss and being fired if they do not comply with party directives, such as attending demonstrations or promoting party causes. Going back to the parliamentary elections, they will take place this Saturday, the 26th. According to the Election Administration of Georgia, the total number of voters is just over 3.5 million. Out of that number, just over 3.1 million, 90%, will have their votes tabulated electronically. This will be the first election for 135,000 people who have recently turned 18. In total, a little over 3,000 polling stations will open. Almost 100,000 Georgians will be able to vote from outside the country. For them, 67 polling stations will open in 53 cities across 42 countries, including Barcelona. Major opposition parties that will compete with Otsneba will be the Natsebi, electoral number 5, Coalition for Change, Gvaramia, Melia, Girci, Droa, or Tavisu Plebiscituis. Number 4, Coalition Strong Georgia, or Zlieri Lelo, which is number 9, and Sakartvelostis. Gacharia's party, which is number 25. This week, representatives from the National Democratic Institute, NDI, and the International Republican Institute, IRI, arrived in Georgia to observe the parliamentary elections. They'll join teams that have been assessing the election campaign situation since the summer. The legitimacy of the elections heavily relies on the evaluation made by these international observers regarding the fairness of the process. Let's hope they will clearly say the only thing that anybody cares about: were the violations significant enough to alter the ruling party opposition win-loss outcome? We'll see. Also see if they stick around long enough to see the full count. More news on the elections. A famous Georgian blogger known as the Depressed Georgian in South Korea, who lives in Seoul, shared a story about her failed attempt to register as an election observer. According to the blogger, after she asked for observer status from the Georgian embassy, she received a call offering for her to be an observer for Otsneba. Every political party has its own observers, in addition to those from NGOs. She declined the offer because she supports the opposition and was then denied any observer status at all. Soon, she discovered that despite her refusal, she had been registered as an observer under Otsneba's quota and shared her frustration in a Facebook post. The election administration of Georgia confirmed her status and stated that she needed to write an official letter to be removed from the list. An official letter, so nostalgic, so Soviet, so Shevardnadze. Those were the days. Next up, according to a Bloomberg article published on Monday the 21st, Russian hackers infiltrated Georgian government structures and major companies between 2017 and 2020. Their targets included the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, National Bank, as well as energy and communication sectors. They also launched attacks on the election administration, media websites, had access to the IT system, Georgian railroads, for 2 years. Western officials reportedly informed their Georgian counterparts about these breaches. There was no information as to any actions being taken. On Thursday, the 24th, the police raided the home of Eto Buziashvili and Sopogelava, 2 Georgian researchers who work for the Atlantic Council, a quite important American think tank focused on international affairs. Officers confiscated laptops and other electronic communication devices during the raid. Authorities have manufactured charges of fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. Predictable, both researchers are studying Russian disinformation. In other news, Mzavrebi, a popular Georgian music band, had a rough week. Kachi Kaladze, the mayor of Tbilisi, hired them to play during the opening ceremony of a new park in Tbilisi. This event, scheduled for the same day as the pro-European rally, would have included Otsneba's political members and party supporters. This announcement sparked backlash from a significant portion of Zavrebi's fan base, who criticized their plans to play at an event organized by Otsneba. So they canceled their plans, which led to criticism from Kaladze, who accused them of being hypocrites, stating that the band had often performed concerts in Russia and is in no position to claim moral high ground by refusing to play at Otsneba's events. According to an opinion essay by Joshua Kucera for the New York Times, Georgia has somehow drifted away from the U.S. and Europe. The West isn't really so necessary for Georgia and vice versa. And so, Georgia is permanently pulling away from the West. He doesn't really say what he's talking about, if this is the population or the majority of the population that doesn't watch government TV or have a government job, or if he's just talking about the ruling party, meaning Bidzina Ivanishvili, who owns and controls that party. Surprising that a guy who can get his opinion in the New York Times knows so little about how Otsneba has driven the West out of every possible sector as much as they possibly could over the last several years. Or maybe he finds those details inconvenient to list while expressing his inaccurate point. Who knows? And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. This will be a very big weekend. Everyone who can vote, vote. And starting right now, choose 10 people that you know who can vote and tell them to send you a selfie in front of the polling station after they have voted. Post it with the hashtag Khmamietsi. That's hashtag Khmamietsi. May truth, justice, and democracy win, and may fortune smile down upon the Samshoblo. Abashanitsi.